Hi, everybody. My name's June. I'm a radio DJ. I've been a radio DJ for over 2 decades now. And in those 2 decades, I've met very, very interesting people that have something very valuable to say. And so chat with my friend Chong, who's in Texas right now. And I said, Chong, can I make an intro? Can we talk? Can you talk to me on air? And Chong,
Right? Sure.
okay, yeah, exactly. But but Chong also said it should be a video. And that's exactly why we're here now with my hair done and everything. And so, friends, I wanna introduce you. This is a first for me, by the way, doing a video, a video component to the interview. So I want to properly introduce you, Chong. Chong's an assistant professor at the University of the Philippines Diliman College of Fine Arts, a political cartoonist, an animator, and a Fulbright scholar who right now is based in Texas, as I mentioned earlier, pursuing his PhD in fine arts. Chong Ardevilla, everybody. Hi, Chong.
Hi, June. Let me clarify. It's Fulbright Ched.
Oh,
So
Fulbright Shed. Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
I have to say that part of the reason I'm here is because of the support of the Commission on Higher Education in the Philippines. So thanks, Chad.
Thanks, Shed. My friend's awesome, and you just made him even more awesome. Flew him to flew him to the middle of nowhere. Tell me about
Right.
you, Chong. Just
So
very quickly.
yeah, so I'm taking up my PhD in fine arts in Lubbock, Texas. A PhD in fine arts is a rare course. I think there are only about seven
Wow.
universities in America or North America that offer it, and the oldest one still existing is in Lubbock, Texas. So that's why I'm here. But Lubbock, Texas, Lubbock itself is not a well-known place. It's not Houston, it's not Dallas, it's not Austin, it's Lubbock. Let me just tell you, Lubbock is so far away that one of the cities near to us is Roswell, New Mexico.
Oh, wait. Roswell. Isn't that like a
Yes,
TV show?
that's a TV show about alien sightings.
Oh, whoa.
Right. So that's how isolated we are, that the visitors we get here are aliens. So,
God, that's so freaky.
I mean, it's cool. You know, so I grew up in Cebu
Oh,
and
yeah. I was meaning to let you mention that too.
I am a Sacred Hearter, but I took my college degree in UP Diliman. So from 1995 onwards, I was in Manila. Can you imagine being in Manila for that long? And Manila has a population of what, 12 million?
Mm-hmm.
And here I am in Lubbock with a population of what, 300,000?
Are you serious?
Something like that. So maybe that's just one barangay in Quezon City. I'm not sure, but so it's a paradigm shift from Manila, the very crowded Manila, to open spaces here in Lubbock, Texas.
Yes, but you know, I'm dragging you into this whole conversation is because you're one of the people who have something valuable to say. 2020, Chong, was like a difficult year for everyone, but it was also like an epiphany year for some. Some people were able to do some self introspection. And so we're at the end of the year. We're recording this at least at the end of the year. And people who will be listening to this on the radio will perhaps be hearing this on the new year. So I'm thinking, what is it that you want to share with everybody?
I like it that you mentioned self introspection. So 2020, although it's a very horrible year, it forced a number of us to go into places or hobbies that we never really considered. So I've seen posts of people baking.
Uh-huh. That's
So
a very
that's
common one.
cool,
Yeah.
right? And a lot of my friends and relatives have become plantitos or plantitas. So developing a green thumb, that's good for the ecology, right? That's
Yes, you
great.
have to
Yeah.
add milk tea.
Yes, milk tea, my goodness. And that's a rarity here in Lubbock, Texas. It
Good.
is. I'm willing to murder for milk tea. No, I'm joking. So, but if one word is to describe 2020, for me, it's monstrous because you have the fires in Australia, the volcanic, well, activity from Taal, the current pandemic. It's not, even though that there's a vaccine right now, a lot of the experts project that the COVID-19 will be with us for a long time.
Yeah, for a few more years, right?
Yeah, for a few more years, it'll be part of our reality. So 2020 is a shift of that reality because of these monstrous things. And for this session between you and
Hmm.
I thought it would be a great thing to talk about because this will be played right during Friday, I assume.
Yes, this is going to be
So
played on Magic.
yes, what kind of songs will you play? I mean, what
We're
decade?
going to be playing on Fridays on Magic, call it Friday Madness, and that's when we play songs from the 90s until the year 2010.
So it's great because that's our that's our growth years, right? So it's a looking back.
Okay, we're dating. You're dating ourselves, Sean. You're dating you and me.
Yeah, but June, let's not go there. Let me just say I was in high school when Ramos was president. So that's a long time ago. I mean, when I was in high school, the slogan was Philippines 2000. And now we're in 2020, 2000.
Exactly.
So yeah,
Exactly.
it's interesting that 2020 is a monstrous year, and this is a show about quote nostalgia end quote. And I suggested to June that we should talk about music and music videos that are associated with monsters from that era, 90s and early 2000s. So yeah, so I suggested that we should open the song with one of my favorite is Annie Lennox, Love Song for a Vampire. I did mention this before that I want this to be my wedding march, which will not
Ooh.
happen. Which will not happen, June. I don't think I'll get married. So
Okay.
I'm the type of person that I hope to die inside a classroom, or if I die inside my place, I have cats to eat my cadaver.
Oh
So
my gosh. That is, we just turned really dark there.
yeah, no, if you're my friend, guys, I'm sorry, I apologize for that. I have gallows humor. It's a way of coping. So, and yeah, it has been a dark year, so dark humor can be a coping mechanism for that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I really like this song. It's an interesting song. It's from Francis Ford Coppola's movie of Bram Stoker's Dracula. And yeah, vampires are a thing for centuries. And what I love about this film was in the early 90s. So this was way before the Twilight invasion.
Hmm.
So I don't know, June, have you read or seen the Twilight films?
I'm really sorry. I'm going to apologize for all the Twilight fans out there because I think I probably just saw one and I was like half asleep because I was so tired. So, no, I haven't really seen it. What about you?
No? You're lucky you fell asleep or half asleep. I lost a bet, so I
Oh,
had to
really?
watch,
Okay.
and I almost tore up the cinema from my complaints. Look, okay, let me just preface. I know many of your listeners are fans of Twilight, and that's good. But I have a problem when you guys expect that vampires are like sparkly creatures that shine in daytime. Vampires are monsters, man. They're monsters. Remember that. And they have power over you. The only thing that they don't like would be like crucifix, garlic, and sunrise. But
Hmm.
here in Twilight, Stephanie Meyer made the vampires sparkle.
Yeah, romanticize the vampire, right?
Yeah, and for me, vampires are interesting considering what they are culturally. So part of my studies is the field of cultural studies, in which we try to look at the media products from different cultures, from different times, and connect that with why are they emergent? Why is this monster present? Because as I discussed with you, June, before, that all cultures have monsters, but different cultures would have different monsters. I mean, why would the manananggal exist in the Filipino culture and you don't see that in North American culture?
Yeah, I always wondered that. Like, hey, how come the Manananggal doesn't come out in like American films, American
Because,
horror
yeah,
films?
because for them, it would come out as a weird monster because they cannot relate to it because all monsters are cultural products. So we grew up with stories and the stories inform us of our culture. So it's interesting that I start with a love song for a vampire because although vampires have existed in different iterations for centuries before, it is the novel Bram Stoker's Dracula that solidified what a vampire is for much of popular culture. And it's interesting that Twilight made the vampire figure as romantic. The vampire is a predator, and
True.
it's a sexual predator. I mean, they bite you at the tongue, I mean, at the neck.
Mm-hmm.
So there's penetration involved. And there's a draining of bodily fluids, which we'll not discuss because we don't want MTRCB cutting us off.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
but that is
so,
true. And I didn't even think it
vampires,
that way.
sorry, June, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No, I was just saying that is so true. And I never even thought about it that way.
Yeah, because vampirism is a very sexual form of monstrosity. It involves contact with the body. It involves the vulnerable sexual parts of the body, the neck, the inner thigh, where the arteries are. So if you bite it, you have the arterial spray.
Mm-hmm.
So more blood to drink. And that's why Bram Stoker, I find it interesting that Bram Stoker's Dracula is actually, if you take a look at it, it's a very xenophobic novel. So xenophobic means you're against foreigners, you're against outsiders.
Yeah.
So among the victims in Bram Stoker's Dracula, her name is Lucy Westerna, which is a strong-willed flirt of a woman. And spoiler alert, she died. She was bitten by a vampire. She was drained by a vampire. So that itself is a quote lesson because if you take a look at the word monster, the etymology for that, one of the etymology or the roots of the word monster means warning, maneo, is to warn. So the culture would create all these monsters to warn us, which is interesting. And that's why maybe after this talk, maybe you should think about what are the monsters you grew up with and why? Why these monsters? And research online what are the other weird monsters. So we have the manananggal, which is considered weird by outside cultures. And you have this monster, I forgot the name in Indonesia, which is basically a floating head with her intestines dangling from her neck.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's another version of their manananggal.
Yeah, but this is just my head.
So yeah, so that's why, well, Love Song for a Vampire is a song of longing and maybe also a song of willingness for you to subject yourself to
Oh,
such
wow.
pain, I guess. Anna Lennox is amazing.
She is. I truly love her. I truly.
And I bet, yep, sorry.
Go ahead.
I bet you guys may have not heard this song for years. I mean, I don't know if the song has been played on the radio, but I remember,
Not as much. Not as much.
not as much, but I remember back in the 90s, I would call the radio stations and they would play it. They played it. So yeah.
All right. So since we played it for everybody, just want everybody to know as well that we're going to be featuring songs that are related to monsters today, and these are all of Chong's choices of songs.
Yes, ma'am.
Definitely. So we're gonna pause for a break now. So this is all about monsters and perhaps how we should look forward to in 2021. So please stay with us, everybody. Welcome back, everybody. I'm still hanging out with my Fulbright Shed scholar friend, Chong Ardevilla, over there in Lubbock, Texas. Hey, Chong.
Hey, June.
I'm always grateful.
Sorry?
I'm always grateful that you've really agreed to do this.
Yeah, I'm grateful as well for having me here. And thank you for indicating about Fulbright Shed because I want your listeners to know that I think scholarship is being handed out still. The application is still open. So please go to the Facebook pages of PAEF, which is Philippine American Educational Foundation. So you have chances for you to, I just took a chance and I got accepted. That to me is an amazing thing.
Oh, absolutely. It really is. And we're very, very, very proud of you.
Thanks.
And thanks for taking time out to share what you know with everybody. It's just that We chose to talk about monsters today, Chong.
Right. I am a big fan of monsters. I love monster movies. I love horror movies. But I have to say this. I used to watch these horror films before in the Philippines, which I'm all right. But I
Okay.
can't seem to watch that here in Lubbock when I live
Uh-huh.
all alone. I mean, when I watch it, it has to be daytime. And
Okay.
then if I have a hard time sleeping, then I would take my melatonin supplements.
Okay. Is it okay? Just like a side question, are you more scared of like the foreign monsters or the monsters that kind of are Filipino and is so familiar that could be your neighbor?
That's a good question, but I would answer that according to the media products that I watch.
Ooh.
So if I watch, let's say, a horror movie, let's say done by South Korea, they've done great cinema using monsters because they're very effective, as well as American, British. They have a great collection of monster movies. In the Philippines, I watch monster movies, particularly my favorite, Shake, Rattle, and Roll One,
Oh.
because
Wow.
when I was young, that movie scared me, really scared me. Part one and part two, I love those, especially with Manilyn Reynes. part, part one, two, and three.
Okay.
So, but if I watch it now, these old movies, they make me laugh because it's campy, the prosthetics is not that good, the acting is over the top. So yeah, but in terms of horror stories, I mean, just like if we're just talking,
Mm-hmm.
I'm still freaked out by ghost stories in the Philippines as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I studied in UP Diliman. I'm teaching in UP Fine Arts, and I remember my first night as a dormer in Kalayaan Residence Hall. That we had this resident assistant, and he said, if something happens to you tonight, if something weird happens to you, you experience something weird, just pray. And I laughed. Because
Okay.
and then he proceeded to explain that the Kalayan Residence Hall would have some ghosts apparition. And then he proceeded to point where the haunted rooms are.
Oh my gosh.
And guess whose room was one of the most haunted?
Yours.
Yes. And I have to say,
OMG.
I did experience certain stuff that really one of the weirdest things I remember, because across my room is this other room that's locked. Nobody is using it at that time. They said it's
Okay.
storage. So nobody's inside. But I
Okay.
remember when I walk out, the doorknob will be moving.
You're kidding.
I'm not. And I like to think that I'm a fairly scientific person. I like logic, but I also study culture. So ghost stories are part of our culture, which brings me to the next music that I selected, which is Blink 182's. The title is, what was it, June? I'm sorry.
Okay, the title of the next song is I Miss You by Blink 182. Wait. This is a ghost. I've never seen the video of this. This is a ghost. This is
Yeah.
related to monsters, the song?
It's related to ghosts because the music video was shot inside an old mansion, I think somewhere in LA. I'm not
Oh,
sure.
okay.
But, it's all about, are you missing a person? I miss you. And so there's this lady that's like an apparition throughout the
Huh.
video. And ghosts are very interesting a concept. So I don't know how. Maybe you try to, this is a good exercise. Try to remember how ghosts were explained to you when you were young. Do you remember, June?
Yeah, that they're white or they're black
Yeah,
and they're floating
right.
and they're scary.
They're scary, but did anyone explain to you why they exist?
Oh no, not really actually. It was more like to tell me I need to sleep or I shouldn't like they're gonna come after me because I'm not following my parents' instructions. That was more like the what they used it for, to get me to submit to do what they want to do. They want
And
me
that,
to do.
yeah, that's a perfect explanation that monsters are produced by culture to control our movement.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, to socialize ourselves, meaning, oh, if you go there, kwaon kas kapre,
Okay.
right? So it's about controlling your movement. Don't
Mhm.
go to that place, sleep early, or else the ghost will come get you.
Yeah.
It's interesting. So a few months ago, a professor of mine discussed ghosts using quantum physics.
Wow.
I will not attempt to explain quantum physics, but here's what I got from him. Ghost may be apparition or lingering in which when time and space fold and overlap with your current one. So you're seeing something that's currently happening in the past.
Wow.
For him, ghosts are lingering. It's just interesting. So he explained ghosts using science,
Uh-huh.
but I want to go through culture for me. Ghosts are supposed to be, remember that monsters are supposed to be lessons.
Okay.
So ghosts are implements of lingering, unfinished business,
Mm-hmm.
and which is very interesting because the current terminology right now of leaving someone in the air without proper closure is called ghosting.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. So you're just like a phantom, you just disappear out of thin air and you leave the person hanging,
Mm-hmm.
which is a really jerk thing to do. So ghosts are in a way creatures, phantasms, apparitions of longing, of lingering, of businesses, or unfinished business. So you have a lot of great ghost stories about being cursed because you did something bad. So you're stuck here. Or ghosts like they did not what's this? They did not were not able to make their dreams come true, fulfill their desires. That's why they're
And there's a
resentment.
message they have to say to you or something
Yeah,
like that.
right. So I think the lesson for ghosts here is do what you need to do for you to have these closures. So that's why you don't become a ghost yourself by always being stuck in the past.
Ooh.
Yeah, we're going there, but not quite.
Yeah.
Look, I have to say I am not a psychologist and I am the last person you need to ask regarding relationship advice. No.
Okay.
So that's why if you no, I'm looking at it from the point of view of cultural studies.
Mm-hmm.
So part of cultural studies is literary studies and visual culture. So ghosts are part of my realm, so to speak, when we study ghosts as apparitions, which is a visual thing.
You know, I have to mention this to you, Chong. A friend of mine lent me a book, or not lent me, gave me a book that mentioned how the Chinese used ghost stories to control the villagers
Yeah,
or
that's
to
the way
take
it is.
over the village and, say, like, I want to say hi to Mommy Ramil who's behind me.
Oh,
Hi,
fabulous
Mommy
woman.
Ramil. No, that they use the concept of a ghost or some supernatural being to control the villagers, to make them like not go out at night, because there is like some sort of crazy or like scary creature that's there.
So it's interesting that you said that about not going out at night because monsters are border creatures, meaning if you cross the line, you will encounter the monster.
Ooh.
So that's why a lot of the monsters are lurking under the bridge, the trolls,
Mhm.
or in the forest with all these we call them the elementals.
Mhm.
Or you go to a place that you're not supposed to go, let's say an abandoned mansion, you cross the line and you have to pay for it. So crossing the line is, my question is, who will say what the line is, which
Exactly.
is society and authority.
Ah,
So that's why this Chinese village that you mentioned is just controlling territory.
exactly. Exactly.
Don't go there because you will be stolen, whatever.
Oh wow. Oh wow. That's amazing. And so it's time for us to play our next song for today. This is Blink 182's I Miss You. You're on Magic 92.3. Hey, everybody, you're still listening to June here on Magic 92.3. Of course, I'm joined by Chong over there in Lubbock, Texas. You have to
Howdy.
mention because, howdy, because you're from Lubbock, Texas. You mentioned to me that Buddy Holly was from Lubbock, Texas.
Oh, yeah. So, if you guys know your music history, pop music and rock music history, Buddy Holly is like one of the progenitors or one of the people who really made rock and roll more accessible.
Mm-hmm.
So, here's the thing. Buddy Holly had his band. His band is called Buddy Holly and the Crickets, which inspired this tiny band you may have heard of called the Beatles.
Whoa, I didn't know that. Cool.
Yeah, so like the Beatles, particularly Paul McCartney, was such a big fan on how Buddy Holly just changed the way an electric guitar is supposed to play. So Buddy Holly grew up here in Lubbock.
Oh, nice.
And people assume that country music is really in Nashville, Tennessee. But for a time, Lubbock, Texas was like a center for rock and roll and music, country music as well. And Lubbock right now is considered to be the cultural hub of Texas.
Ah.
So it's not the big cities, not Houston, not Dallas, not Austin, it's Lubbock. So if you're an arts person, like arts, music, theater,
Mhm.
Lubbock is the place to go.
So it's just perfect that you're right there.
Right. It sucks though that I'm in a pandemic right now.
I know. Yeah. You're telling me that Lubbock is an ocean. What did you say about it?
Oh yeah, the early explorers, the early Western Europe or the European explorers called this the land ocean
Land
because
ocean.
it is so vast. Can you just imagine horizon of land, flat lands, no mountains whatsoever? That's why during the 1500s and 1600s, a
Mhm.
lot of the Spaniards who came here got land sickness.
Wow.
So we've heard of seasickness, in which we
Mhm.
are, destabilized, disoriented from the movements of the sea. So land sickness is because you lose your sense of direction. You
Wow.
don't know where you've been, where you're going. So that's why this area is called Llano Estocado. That Spanish means for stake lands, meaning the Spanish explorers used stakes and then plunged it on the earth to use it as markers for them not to get lost.
That's crazy, crazy. And we're
Right.
still, and thanks for that, Sean. And we're still talking about monsters
Right.
here on Magic. If you're listening to us, we're going to put a link of um, the video because if you're listening, there's also a video to this, and you might want to catch it. We're going to post the link to the video on our official social media accounts if you'd like to watch it as well. So the next song that we're going to feature before we play it is Narda.
Oh yeah. So I requested this because we should have like a couple of OPM songs. And
Right.
Narda for me is, I think, a really good song for, about a certain young woman that, quote, inspires you, that you see her as this superhero. I'm not saying Darna is the monster here, but,
Okay.
but in mythology and folklore, the hero would need the monster. And who is the monster usually for Darna? Would you know, June?
I don't remember the name.
So basically, the monster, her name is Valentina. So
Valentina.
Valentina is this, she's basically an iteration or a version of Medusa, the
Mm,
Greek monster in which Medusa can turn people into stone with just one look.
right. Is that
But
the same thing she does?
no, that's not the thing she does. She's just very monstrous. She has serpents for her hair, but she's very smart. Here's the thing,
Oh,
that's why I wanted to mention Valentina because Mars Ravelo wrote Darna, and I think he's really great. I think he should be given National Artist Award someday, if not soon. So Valentina is this Oh my God, she has a PhD.
No
Yeah.
way.
She,
No way. She's a
yeah,
PhD?
and her name is Dr. Valentina Vandra Kapoor, I think.
Wow.
So yeah,
What?
she
That's
studied.
Indian. Kapoor.
Yeah, she studied Vandra Kapoor. She studied in University of Delhi. Now, I'm not saying that people from India are monsters. So that's one problematic thing about Valentina. What I am focused on is she's an intellectual,
Hmm.
and she's considered a monster
Oh. Hey, I
because
didn't look at it that
she's
way.
elite. She speaks English,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you have Narda. I call Narda TBL,
What's
typical
TPL?
barrio lass. Typical barrio.
Typical Barrio less. Okay, cool.
Oh. So if you take a look at Narda, she's a figure of marginalization. She's a young woman that's already marginalized. And not only is she a young woman, she lives in a barrio, economically marginalized, and she has a handicap. So she's disabled. That's triple marginalization.
It's true.
Right. And I find it interesting that for her to gain power, she has to swallow something. So, but okay, I will not venture more into that. I'll just leave it that way. But one of her biggest enemies is an academic. Is a doctor, Valentina. And that to me is interesting because in the current culture wars, not just in the Philippines, but here in America, you have a lot of people who are anti-intellectual.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, you can see that in Facebook, in the Philippine Facebook, ikaw na ang matalino, ikaw na ang presidente, di wow. You know, you are discrediting other people's opinions by calling them, well, because you're so smart, why don't you do this?
Right, right, right.
So that is interesting that we demonize people who are smart. So I was laughing once I earned my PhD, ka-level na ako si Valentina.
Exactly, exactly. But could it be that Narda could also, I mean, I was thinking about when you mentioned swallowing, it's like
Yeah.
swallow her pride just to get the position she wants.
That's an interesting notion because for some cultural practices in Central Visayas, no, I'm sorry, Western Visayas, you have people that what they do is before Lent, they would burn these palm crosses. The ashes are usually used for Ash Wednesday, right, June? I
Yeah,
mean, you're a good
yeah.
Catholic.
Hey, what I heard was even our palms
Yeah,
are collected by the churches, so they burn it to make ashes for Ash Wednesday.
right. So there are some people in the Western Visayas region. I read about this. So what they do is they burn the palms, and the ashes. They mix it with water, and then they drink it. So
Whoa.
they think if you ingest the cross, you are protected by the cross. So
Oh.
this is the same thing as people having anting-anting in their wallets.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like ingestion or contact being part of you. So I remember when my mom would give me a brand new wallet years ago, she would my wallet would look thick, not because of the money I have, it's because of the pictures of the saints inside the wallet.
True.
And I asked her, well, what's with all the saints there? And she said, to protect you, to protect your money. And then I said, what money? So it's
Yeah,
interesting.
that's true.
That's
That's
why,
true.
yeah, that's why Darna for me is an interesting cultural product. It's not just a superhero. It's an understanding on how we Filipinos, some Filipinos, gauge power and see who the villains are.
Yeah.
Whereas Valentina, you're supposed to be, the villain would be this uppity know-it-all.
Wow.
Right.
How interesting.
And also some of the members for Kamikaze is from UP Fine Arts. Represent. So,
All right, so let's play the Kamikaze song right now. This is Kamikaze's Narda on Magic 923.
all right.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm still hanging out with Chong Ardevilla. Of course, Chong is a assistant professor at the University of the Philippines Diliman College of Fine Arts, also a political cartoonist. and a Fulbright Ched scholar who is at Lubbock, Texas right now, and also an animator. And we've been talking about monsters and playing songs that have monsters in it, or at least have a talk about it in
Right.
their songs, right?
Right.
Okay,
Or in their
so
music videos as well.
or in their music videos as well. So please join us because we've been having so much fun talking about it and infusing a lot of culture into it, which isn't a usual thing. So thank you so much, Sean. I'm always very grateful about that. Our next song, actually, you're talking about the Foo Fighters, Everlong. You know, I had a friend from many years back who loves this song because it's just slow. It's a romantic song and it's a song of longing. But I'm kind of surprised why you're adding this into the whole list of this discussion about monsters.
Oh, well, because I'm adding it because of the music video.
Ah,
So I love Foo Fighters. I really think Foo Fighters is one of the greatest bands ever. All caps, underline, bold, ever. Yeah.
yeah.
So this music video of theirs for this song has them situated in very horror story themes. The first theme would be stuck in a cabin, and then the other theme is invasion of your dreams. So
Uh-huh.
one of the best horror films from the 80s would be Nightmare on Elm Street, in which you are being haunted within your dreams. And that's scary because I mean being haunted while awake is already scary. What if you're haunted while you're sleeping? Can you control your dreams?
Can you control wanting to sleep because you can't?
Exactly. Yeah. So all of us are biologically situated to fall asleep. And the haunting starts when you fall asleep. And that to me scared me when I was like young and watching Nightmare on Elm Street.
I
And
never watched Nightmare on Elm Street.
oh, it's great. And they're going to remake it, I guess, I think.
Oh,
Yeah, but in this video, so you have the main characters sleeping and interacting with each other's dreams. And that to me is freakish because usually dreams are just you. But here, dreams are interconnected. And what I love about this is again, what if somebody can invade your dreams?
Inception.
That's Inception. The Matrix did that
Hmm.
as well. And in the future, in which we get to control synapses, so all these currents in our nerve endings in our brain, what if we can dictate what will we dream of?
Yeah.
And I think that's scary, but I cannot stop it. That's inevitable. That will happen. But again, what if you can invade some other person's dream and terrorize that person?
Mhm.
And that's a really interesting thing for ghosts. And
Sorry,
so
sorry,
in the
sorry.
music video of Everlong, for the Foo Fighters, the band members are asleep. Well, two main band members are asleep and they're being attacked in their dreams. And that to me is crazy creepy because dreams are supposed to be, the stuff of comfort. But then again, the opposite of dreams would be nightmares. And what if you can, this is creepy, June. What if you can induce another person's nightmare?
Yeah, that is super creepy. And you know, cinema makes it so believable these days.
It is, and it's gonna happen soon, sooner or later, because
Would you
right
believe
now
this?
I, I'm a big believer of science and its capacity to be really frightening. But if somebody can, let's say, control other people's fits and anger issues through manipulation of the dreams, there's an ethical question there. But
Hmm.
again, I would situate this as a horror story. You are asleep, your body is defenseless,
Yeah.
and you're being invaded in your dreams. And that to me is scary. And that, in a way, it relates to COVID 19. COVID 19 invades your body. You become helpless if you get really infected by it, if it worsens. And there's a betrayal of your body. Automatic, one of the, a lot of the automatic modes of existence is breathing. So what if like COVID 19 invades your body and just takes it away,
Yeah.
that you have to be intubated? So that's why the virus pandemics are also seen as monsters because it's an invasion of space and body. Your body is no longer yours. The body snatching, it's snatched by the virus, and that's scary. So that's why, and that's why I also find it interesting that to mitigate the virus is to have tiny controls over our bodies, meaning we wear a mask,
Mhm.
social distance, and then wash our hands, clean our hands. And yet, I am here in America. And a lot of people here don't do it because they feel it's an infringement of their freedom.
That's insane, you know. That
Yeah,
still
like,
bothers me.
yeah, it's insane. You see that as insane, but I see it as a cultural product. You can see it in their constitution about individual liberty, pursuit of liberty and happiness. They would equate that as that.
Wow.
So again, Everlong is a really good song. It's a really romantic song, but take a look at the music video. So that's the reason why I included it here.
All right, by the way, if you're also watching this, if you're watching this interview, we also included links of the music videos. We haven't really attached the music videos. It's down below, so you can check it out and get the full experience of what my good friend Chong here is talking about.
Salud.
So let's play that. Let's play that song by the Foo Fighters. Yep, they're my favorite too, Chong. So this is Everlong on Magic 92.3. Okay, so you just heard Everlong by Foo Fighters. I love that song, by the way. The more raw, the more acoustic it is, the better. Chong,
Right.
don't you think
Yeah.
so?
Yeah.
All right,
Dave Grohl is a god.
say it again.
Dave Grohl,
Yes.
the lead singer, is a guy. He's really nice. See, I mean, it's unfair. You're talented, you're brilliant, you belong to one of the greatest bands in history, Nirvana, and then you still produce Foo Fighter. I think
I
that's
know.
amazing.
That
It's
is,
amazing.
it really is. It really is. It really is. I'm great, and I'm so grateful it happened too.
Right.
A lot of great music, and this guy's attitude and his spirit is just amazing.
Yeah, he's a nice
That's
guy.
just amazing. Yeah.
He's very supportive.
Truly, truly. Welcome back, everybody, to Magic 92.3 as we feature monsters. Here with us, of course, is Chong Ardevilla, my good friend, over there at Lubbock, Texas. Hey, Chong.
Hey,
Let's move on to our next monster, and you're featuring the song by Filter,
yes.
which is called
Well, it's a
One.
remake.
It's
One.
called One. Yeah.
One. And I like that song because A, it's a remake and it's part of the soundtrack for X-Files.
Mm. Ooh.
The monster here is you are confronted by a doppelganger.
Okay, for those who don't know what a doppelganger is, please explain.
Doppelganger is basically an apparition that is you,
Another me.
another me. So back when I was a freshman in college in UP Diliman, I remember staying at Kalayaan dorm, and some friends of mine claim that they saw me sitting on my bed staring at the wall.
No way.
That wasn't me because I remember that was on a Sunday and I had ROTC. Yes, I'm that old. So, and then I usually go to the ROTC fields very early. So I know I did not stay there. And then again, it's a weird kind of apparition.
Mhm.
And I use this because Filter, for me, Filter is a really good band as well.
Yeah.
And it's a very raw techno, industrial rock, dance rock as well. And the song was used by X-Files, and the tagline for X-Files is "The truth is out there."
Yeah.
Right. So that's really crazy that you have to search for the truth for you to validate a certain, yes, existence. So right now, with Doppelganger, the truth here is you're being confronted by yourself. And I use that in the time of the pandemic when some of us may have been forced into isolation.
All of us have been forced into isolation.
Well, yeah, but some people are more, how should I say this,
Mobile.
mobile than rest.
Or I don't know how do you say that. You have an ID.
Yeah, but it's interesting that you are left alone. Sometimes you are on Zoom with a friend like this, but there are times that you are left alone to your own thoughts, and then you are confronted by yourself. I'm not saying that there's a doppelganger sitting next to you,
Oh no.
but what I like the concept of doppelganger is in times of isolation, and you cannot go out, you are forced to be alone with your thoughts. Sometimes, sometimes people just go on TikTok and be distracted. Sometimes they just watch YouTube videos, whatever. But sometimes there might be a time in which you're just confronted of certain things. Like, am I doing the right thing? What if I lose my job? What if I get sick? So these are things that run through your head that add to your anxiety.
Hmm.
So yeah, so one, and it's I love that song because the opening line is one is the loneliest number. So we are programmed as a culture and as a species, I think, but I'm not gonna speak for biology. That, I mean, for us to survive, and here's the thing, one of my mother's favorite quote, no man is an island. And I mean, you know what? It's really applicable now in the time of the pandemic that we need each other. Not just for us to survive, but for us not to get sick. I would rely on you, June. I mean, if I were in Cebu, to wear a mask, to have a social distance, and then to wash our hands for you not to make me sick or for me to not make you sick.
Exactly.
So this sort of disease, this pandemic is interesting because it really makes you think on existence as a network, that you cannot live alone. I mean, you can try, but essentially that's very difficult to do. And that's interesting because there are some tragic stories here in America of people dying alone. Yeah, because
That is
I
true. That is true.
yeah, one of the greatest diseases of modern life, according to some health experts, is the disease of loneliness.
I
And you know what? Loneliness does not really apply if you're all alone. I mean, I'm all alone, but I'm not lonely
hmm
because I can keep myself productive. But there are some people who are even like in big families and they feel alone. So for a lot of mental health experts, they think for you to confront this loneliness is for you to process it.
which is
So
chatting with a friend,
chatting
seeing
with a friend or at least, watching a
a
good movie.
professional who can help
Yeah.
you.
Getting your makeup and hair did, but make sure people are wearing face shield.
Yeah.
Whatever floats your boat as long as it's legal and it doesn't hurt anyone.
Yeah.
So it's all about connection, that the humans thrive on connection.
Okay, so let's play this next song, everybody. This next song is Filter with One. You're on Magic 92.3. Hi, everybody. We're doing a feature on monsters. I'm with Chong Ardevilla, uh,
Hey, man.
my animator friend in Lubbock, Texas, right now, who's also, by the way, a Fulbright Shed scholar. And so as we talk about his monsters and song choices related to monsters, we're brought to the next song, the second Filipino, the second OPM song in your playlist today, Sean.
Yes, ma'am. It's Kaila's Hanggang Ngayon.
I know. I love her voice, by the way. I really saw her sing live. And man, she is so talented.
She's so talented, and I wish she would produce more songs now
Hmm. Hmm.
because I think like this song Hanggang Ngayon is one of her best.
So
Yes.
how can hanggang ngayon be related to all the monsters we're talking about? This again is one of those romantic songs that I can't even think of connecting to the topic.
Well, since I'm a fine arts person, my field is visual communication. So I decided to pick this song because of its music video. And this music video, by the way, won an MTV award back in the day.
Whoa, good job, Kyla.
Yeah. But it's an interesting music video because if you listen to the song Hanggang Ngayon, it's a song, a romantic song about, you're still being affected by the person that left you.
Mhm.
Again, it's a sense of lingering. But if you take a look at the video, it's creepy that she's singing to a dead body stashed on the bathtub.
Are you serious?
I'm not joking. That's why I remember like my jaw fell open when I saw the video because this is basically a very psycho video.
It is. It is.
And it's Filipino, so you'd expect a lot of beautiful, bright colors, but the video is very gothic. So
Oh.
it's dark shadows. She's wearing a black thing, like a black gown, I guess, black dress. And she's running around an abandoned house, which looks like a haunted house. And her food is like filled with cockroaches. It's interesting because she's singing to this dead body, which as you watch it, maybe at one point wanted to leave her, but she prevented him. It's, hanggang ngayon, even up to now,
Oh,
which
wow.
is actually it's a really painful song. It's a sad song because even now you still think of that person that left you or that you had a relationship with, and you cannot move on. Or maybe because that's I discussed with you this in another time. Precisely even during this day and age of short attention spans and yet faster communication, in which you can just break up with a person through text or even ignore that person, ghosting.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah, so I think the monster here related to the music video is how do you say goodbye without being a jerk?
Yeah.
I mean, some relationships cannot be saved. I know that, but let's not go there. Let's not go there.
Okay.
Yeah, but the thing is, how do you say goodbye? Because hanggang ngayon seems to me is a song of a person without closure.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, maybe you've had a proper goodbye. You still think of that person occasionally. Yes, you're allowed to do that. But what if that person did not have a proper send off, did not close it properly, and
Mm.
you still hurt to this very day?
Ooh.
And that makes you a monster in a way because you're living a half life. Half of it is stuck in the past. So a lot of people, oh my God, June, we've had friends that had really horrible,
Yes.
you know
Yes.
this, had horrible relationships, and that's the thing, it's reality. But how do you deal with it? So, and that's why I would always tell my friends, even though I'm not a love doctor, I don't propose to be. I say these as jokes. And I said, maybe we could make our breakup lucrative. I mean,
Oh, some people get smart that way.
yeah, that's a smart way of dealing with breakup. I mean, take a look at Adele. Her albums are all about, well, most of her albums are dealing with breakups.
Yeah.
And Homegirl is like rolling in the cash, man, getting them coins.
She really is.
Yeah, and
One
then,
of the,
because that's how she processes it.
Mm.
And then, of course, we have Taylor Swift with
Oh,
all
Taylor Swift and her many boyfriends.
her many boyfriends, which initially I thought that was problematic. Then I realized this is how she processes her hurt. Then I should not criticize it because that's the way she does it. I mean, I can't tell her, hoy, sabat di hoy, samang ka. Yun. Of course, you can't say that to her. And yet, what she does is the way she processes her hurt maybe would be helpful for another person who cannot articulate his or her own hurt feelings.
I have to admit, Sean, there was a time when I said, what, Taylor Swift, not again. Like, stay with a guy for like a few months and then, okay, go. But I think it's brave of her to admit that, okay, really, it's not working. Let's just move on.
Now, I'll write a song about you. That's funny because she's not the only one who does that. She's being attacked because she's a young woman.
Okay. Yeah.
A lot of the One of my favorite novels is Nick Hornby's High Fidelity. High Fidelity is about this guy who's like a music geek,
Wait,
and he
what made
said
it to a movie?
turned into a movie starring John Cusack.
John Cusack.
Yeah, and it's a
Look
really good novel.
in your eyes.
Yeah,
Is that it?
yeah. No, no, no. This is High Fidelity. It's a really good. It's a better novel than the movie
Okay. Okay. Okay.
because he mentioned this in the movie that if you want to protect your children, you have to make them stop listening to pop music.
Really?
He said this sarcastically because the amount of hurt feelings in pop songs are too much. So that's why when people make fun of Taylor Swift, we shouldn't do that. She's just basically extending the tradition of songwriting and pop music.
Mm-hmm.
And this has been going on for centuries.
Yeah.
So you have the Irish ballads centuries ago about this woman being abandoned. It's still being translated now. So again, Kaila's hanggang ngayon is a matter of her processing, I guess. So in 2020, we should be able to process, take some time off. I know it's a very busy life, even though we're stuck in the pandemic. Take the time to process and, take a look at what hurt you
I know.
or
Recharge, right?
recharge or think also of the hurt you induced other people.
Oh, that one too. Sometimes we tend to think about, oh, I'm the victim, but we forget that we've probably hurt somebody too.
Yeah, so that's the thing with breakups, I guess. Or it's not just breakups, it's also the end of friendship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so there are many sides, and I've learned that the hard way. But again, it's not that. Let's not go there.
Okay, let's just play Kyla's song. Here we go,
Yeah.
everybody. Our next song in this monster feature is Kyla with Hanggang Ngayon on Magic 92.3. Hey, Magic Nation, we hope you're really enjoying our feature about monsters and monsters from within and monsters in in uh, in the world around us and even in arts and literature. I'm struggling there,
That's
and I'm joined by Chong, of course, my
okay.
good friend, and we're moving on to the next song. You know, the next song, Chong, is Hole's doll parts. But when you say when I saw it, I was thinking, you know what? Maybe it's those scary little creatures in Toy Story 3 that look like monsters. You know those little doll parts? They became new toys. Remember that? They became
Yeah.
new toys and they looked really scary. Or
Well,
like Chucky is a doll.
but interesting you brought that up because one of the definition for monster is hybrid, meaning a
Oh,
mixture of different parts.
okay.
So that's why a lot of monsters in literature are like part human, part animal.
Oh, that's true.
So yeah, the reason why I brought doll parts is because the doll is only important if it's complete. But if it's now doll parts, that means the doll has had undergone to like several violent players and just destroy the doll. And doll parts are basically quote useless.
Oh.
And it's interesting that I'm bringing up this song because this song is a really intense look on a really problematic relationship. So this was a song written and played by Courtney Love, and she said it was written in mind to Kurt Cobain, which she was going out with him at that time. And it's so interesting what she wrote there. There's this one line, someday you will ache like I ache. That to me is scary because that means that she expects that her affection should be equal to the person she's giving it to. Because one of the greatest tragedies of a love story is you love a person much more than the person loves you.
Or you just have different languages of love.
Yes. exactly. See, you don't meet. Like if your love language is very, touchy feel, but the person you're affectionate with is not really responsive,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of tears you inside.
Yeah.
So that's the song partially that song is Doll Parts. And I'm using that as also a takeaway because Courtney Love is brave to use a song to project her, I guess, anger,
Mm-hmm.
her impatience, her extreme version of longing for Kurt Cobain. And I use that here in 2020 because this was also the time in which social media became really a powerful thing in which for you to express your pain. So you have a lot of people breaking up on social media.
And that's terrible.
And that's terrible. And I'm old and I would say, oh my God, diba? Very conservative, like, with the pie. Oh my God, naunsa.
Or even fighting with the other person, right? On
Or
social media.
calling him or her out with their,
Yeah.
so it makes me wonder, like, what is social media the collapse of civilization?
It
So,
probably is.
I mean, it's easy to just air out your dirty laundry with a hashtag.
With
So,
the hashtag.
I mean, I'm not saying to stop it. I'm just observing what it is. But
Exactly.
as an older person, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, I'm
You're not
kind
an
of
older person. Can you stop saying that?
yeah, I know. Okay, I'm kind of perplexed that people have it. It's like easy for them to tell if they're hurt. But then again, I would say if that's the way they process their hurt, then make it. But again, I don't think that you should do it if it hurts another person.
Hmm.
So if you process it, make sure it's productive and generative and not destructive for both of you.
Because
And
social media has made a circus out of our lives.
yeah, and it's interesting what the digital archaeologists hundreds of years from now will take a look at our social media feeds. I mean, our lives are not just live in reality, we're also virtual reality.
Mhm.
Just because it's in virtual reality, it doesn't make it anything less. Sometimes people are even more alive in virtual reality. I
Yeah.
mean, frankly, June, our Zoom conversation,
Yeah.
I'm okay with it because I don't like being in a room with people speaking. I'm a social person, but there are times it's exhausting. Zoom for me is good. I mean,
Okay.
I'm not antisocial. It's just that
Okay.
I have limits. But then again, if I have to post some stuff online, I always quote curate it because I don't want to overshare.
Mm.
There's a big difference between saying a lot of things and telling people many things. So I don't know. That's the way people cope. I'm just saying this as a cultural point of view of maybe we should just pause, take a step back, and assess the situation. If this needs a response in social media, if you want to make it look like art, if like what's her name? Courtney Love, go ahead. But I will paraphrase one of my favorite poets and friend and Cebuano, Larry Ipil, that not all heartbreak would equate poetry.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh.
sometimes it's just better to be left unsaid.
Yeah. Yeah.
So so here's doll parts, guys, and I really love this video. And I'm sorry if it's too loud for tonight, but I'm thinking people our age, June, might appreciate this.
Oh, it's always a good music education. So let's get on with it. This is Whole and Doll Parts on Magic 92.3.
Ready?
Welcome back, Magic Nation. You know, even if this is like one of the topics that I don't kind of want to talk about, Sean, because I don't like watching scary movies, but it's been so interesting so far, and we hope you've been enjoying it with us. Of course, I'm hanging out with Chong, our Devilla over there in Lubbock, Texas, as
Howdy,
yeah, takes
everyone.
his PhD, pursues his PhD. Is it right?
Trying to finish.
Oh, sorry.
Trying to finish my
Why
PhD.
finish his PhD? Okay, and we're talking about monsters right now. Oh, this is interesting. Nine Inch Nails is the
Oh,
next song we're featuring, and the song in question is "Perfect Day." Sounds bright and sunny.
perfect drug.
Perfect
So,
drug. Sorry, perfect drug. Exactly.
right. I picked Nine Inch Nails. They're one of my favorite bands from the 90s. Still one of my favorite musical acts right now. I have to say that Nine Inch Nails won an Oscar. Trent Reznor, particularly, won an Oscar for Best Musical Score for the movie The Social Network.
Wow.
So that really marks Trent Reznor's flexibility and fluidity in terms of music. But the guy was really artistic in the sense that he knew how to blend audio visual communication. So I have to admit, June, that this was not the song that I picked, but I
Okay.
was forced to pick because the original song I wanted to use was Closer,
Mm-hmm.
which I cannot use because of certain problematic lyrics.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Okay,
Not,
let's not. Let's not.
that's not. But, I have to say that the music video for Closer is one of the few music videos in the entire human history that was included in the collection for New York's MoMA, Museum of
Wow.
Modern Art. That's a high honor.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, ka-level ni mo sila Picasso, so to speak. And the director for that was Mark Romanek, I think. I'm not sure. Oh God, I'm sorry, but the next music video after Closer would be this. Would be well, the following song would be "The Perfect Drug," and the video is inspired by Gothic paintings uh, of Europe. But what's interesting for me there is the song itself, "The Perfect Drug." I mean, we're used to metaphors of love, like, "Oh, I love you so much. You're like the sunshine in my life," or "You're the oxygen that I breathe," etc., etc. But here you are equating this person as the perfect drug. That means whoever this person is, this person's effect on you is overstimulation.
Yes.
Right. And the monster for me there is, what if you become dependent? Just like a drug addict.
Right.
So yeah, codependency. So, you become dependent on certain stuff that you should have prevented before. Like maybe we should be more independent and not rely on a vaccine being developed and not wait for it, and maybe, just have more political will to stamp
Oh.
the pandemic. But no. So see, it's all about the things that we could have done.
Hmm.
So drug usage, of course, in this current administration has been demonized. And if you listen to the song "The Perfect Drug," and I have to preface this, I have never experienced chemical manipulation of any kind that is recreational.
I've never
No,
tried it either. I've
no,
never. I've never either.
yeah. I'm not saying you did, June, but it's I don't want to be tagged. I'm wearing red right now,
Uh-huh.
and
Yeah.
so they say that whatever. But the thing is, a lot of the great literature, artworks are produced by people who are high. Look, let me preface this. I am not saying you should get high.
To
There's
be
al-
able to be creative.
there's always a risk there. That's why it's good that maybe you will find this quote perfect drug in another form that's not illicit.
Mm-hmm.
So drugs are interesting a topic. The word assassin comes from the bastardization of the word hashishi,
Is it?
which hashishi. These are extremists back in the medieval times, in which they want to kill certain people, but before they killed certain people, this happened during the Crusades, by the way. So they inhale, smoke hashish. So hashishi means a person who smokes hashish. In order for that person to lose control, be
Oh,
brave
yeah.
to kill another person.
Wow.
So going back to the song, You Are My Perfect Drug, that means, are you really ready for a sort of relationship in which you are about to lose control? And control is something that all of us would love. Are you willing to give that up? Are you willing to subject yourself to another person? And the monstrosity here is, are you willing to really lessen yourself, I guess?
So
So
who's
that's
the
what
monster? So who's the monster there?
the monster is the situation. Are you willing to allow yourself to degrade yourself, perhaps? I guess. I don't know. Are you really that hungry for affection that you are willing to do anything for that affection?
Ooh.
Oh, Lord. And at the time of, Tinder, and for
Uh-huh.
my time, Grinder, and Scruff. So these are the current negotiations for affection. Because are you looking for a quick fix or are you looking for something deeper? So it's all up to you. Because the monster here is the situation. I mean, you're lonely, you don't want to be lonely anymore. So you will just go out with anyone who expresses affection to you. That to me is problematic.
Oh, that's scary. That's totally scary.
Yeah, you mean you let this other person be with you, sometimes in you, just because just because you feel like it. I mean, if that's how you roll, go for it. As long as, again, you don't hurt other people.
Definitely. So let's play that song right now, Chong. This is 9 Inch Nails with Perfect Drug, and you're on Magic 92.3. Okay, welcome back to our special feature about monsters in music and in society with my friend Chong Ardevilla, of
Hi,
course,
everyone.
the assistant professor at the University of the Philippines Diliman College of Fine Arts, and is currently in Lubbock, Texas right now, pursuing his PhD. Chong, I remember you mentioning about the Manananggal, and we have to talk about this because it was so interesting that you said that the Manananggal is an outcast, or because people are afraid of her. Can you clarify that for everybody, please?
So, you mentioned earlier, June, about monsters are used to control our behavior, right? So, go to sleep or else ghosts will haunt you. Or Manananggal is a really interesting monster for me. I like her. I mean, I don't want to be her. I don't want to meet her. But
Okay.
I want to. I want to discuss the concept of Manananggal. It's interesting that this woman, at a certain period of the night, I guess, separates from her lower torso, flies around, terrorizing people. She has become some sort of a feminist icon for some people.
Oh.
Because the Manananggal, for her to become a monster, she has to live outside the town. She's an outcast. And not only does she live outside of town, she lives alone. And that's problematic for people in Filipino society. We always say, oh, women should always get married, right? I mean, if a woman reaches a certain age and she's not married, ay ano ba yan, naunsa man na. So this is a very interesting concept that this woman is independent. She lives on her own outside the village. She's very resourceful. She doesn't need a man. And yet she has to become a monster for her to do that.
Oh.
And then she will fly around, etc., etc. And it's interesting because I told you that there are some cultures that produce the manananggal, but there are some cultures that don't. So here in America, their horror genre, their horror movies is interesting because a lot of their horror films and horror literature is about invasion of private property. I mean,
Yeah.
there's daddy, there's someone in the closet, or there's something under my bed. Or the hitchhiker, you make him ride inside or her inside the car. You made that person go into your property, then he or she will invade it. Or the cabin in the woods, the wax museum, haunted house. In the Philippines, for me, if you want to discuss culture and monsters, you just don't discuss the monsters. You also discuss the victims. So, June, do you remember who the victims usually are for the Manananggal?
Who's the victims? The pregnant women, right? Is that right?
Yes, pregnant women and little children and babies. So,
Yes.
for Philippine society, there's a lot of panic over the safety of children and pregnancy.
Mm.
So, in a way, remember that there was a struggle for reproductive health rights
Yes.
because there was this narrative that says that because of reproductive health, people will not be able to give birth, etc., etc. So, for us as a culture, one of the most important acts in our society is providing children. And this manananggal is taking it away.
Oh, yes.
And that's why, for me, the manananggal is an aberrant body or an abomination in which you look at that body and says it does not fit to our society, ergo it is outside. It should not be in. So there you go. You have culture, you have geography, meaning you're outside society.
Right, right.
So, and that's why also, to segue to that, I picked our last song because of aberrant bodies. So this is Chemical Brothers, Hey Boy, Hey Girl. And you guys found like a file for that, right?
I'm looking.
No,
Okay.
it's interesting that 2020 is about a pandemic. And there's the time I spoke to some artists who are trying to make artworks that they respond to the pandemic. I mean, their thoughts on the pandemic, and some of them were told not to do that because they were told, paint something beautiful because everybody's suffering in the pandemic, so they don't want to witness or engage with anything pandemic related.
Mm.
And that's why I'm using this music video of Hey Boy, Hey Girl because of the dancing skeletons in the music video. And I want to go out of this session of ours with a bang. We started out with a love song for a vampire.
Mhm.
Let's go out dancing, even on your own. Because one of the greatest, most powerful, and deadliest pandemics was during the 1300s, 12 to 1300s to 1400s, which is called the Great Mortality in Europe, the Black Plague. I've read some literature to it. It's the disgusting, painful way to die. So the problem is a lot, a number of great literature and great artworks were produced in response to the pandemic. So one of the best story novels, well, collection of stories of all time is Boccaccio's Decameron. So the basic premise there is a group of people were stuck inside a house outside the city. The city is like having this pandemic all over. So for them to survive, they have to socially distance. And for them to, entertain themselves, they tell each other stories. So it's a collection of stories. And that's one of Italy's greatest contribution for literature. And speaking of Italy, during the medieval times, they produced a lot of murals featuring dancing skeletons. And it might sound negative, but death will triumph all, meaning death, skeleton will dance all over our graves. So this is a video of dancing skeletons, and it's an interesting take because I'm not trying to be negative. This, a lot of the artists and writers during the Great Mortality actually had a moment of clarity amidst all these problems, amidst all these deaths, a clarity on the fact that they might die. So if they will die, at least let them leave something behind that they are proud of. So there you go, June.
And so before we actually play the song, and you mentioned a moment of clarity, we're starting the new year,
Oh
and
yeah,
you should
yeah,
say a few hopeful things to everybody who's listening right now or viewing us on YouTube.
right. And well, yeah, it's an interesting connection to that because the number 2020 is like the number for perfect vision, right? What I like about that perfect vision is you can see things from a distance with clarity. So we're now in a really bad place, bad time in 2020. We look to the distance and what 2020 should have given us for being so monstrous is a series of lessons that we must listen to for us to have and pursue that clearer vision of 2021 and beyond. So for me, even though we're ending this show with like dancing skeletons, it's still fun. It's a dance, it's electronica because that's the enduring way for us. It's this determination to live our lives. And we must live our lives with being informed and knowledgeable on what to do and what must be done. If you think 2020 was problematic, you just don't whine about it. You just don't post about it on social media and do nothing. The I think the gift of vision is lost if you just look at it and do nothing.
What needs
So
to be done then?
what needs to be done for you is well, first of all, it's I don't have a prescription I don't want to tell people what to do. It's always a personal track. We've all experienced different problems, so we will have a different solution for each of those problems. But you have to take a look at the bigger picture. If you think the problem is certain political failings, then after the holidays, ladies and gentlemen, please go out and register because voting can change everything. We've seen that. You've seen it. I've seen it here in America. So that's a very proactive way. And I think that's one thing that we must learn. And I'm trying to learn as well is to be proactive rather than reactive. Because reactive is it already happened and I react to it. Proactive is I'm going to make it happen.
Yes.
So there you go, June.
And
Chemical Brothers.
I know, and before we play it too, you also did mention that in the most recent election, uh, our age bracket were the ones who were voting more, right?
Yeah, there was a study in the Philippines that actually the greater number of voting population demographics would be boomers and Gen Xers. That would be us.
Yeah. So
Lit-
we're not at the millennials, right? Are we
No, no, no.
millennials, Chong?
It's,
Feeling millennial.
I mean, well, arguably, we're at the tail end of Gen X.
Okay, okay.
So we're seeing a signal, right? Between Gen X and millennial. But I like that millennial thing, feeling. No, but the thing is, so the greatest number, literally millions, who did not register are the younger millennials. So perhaps if you are listening right now and you have not registered, please do. Because I used to think like that, oh, my vote will mean nothing. And that for me is an act of stupidity because your vote is everything. People literally died for you and I to be able to vote. This is a privilege many people in different countries do not have.
Mm. Yes, I agree.
I know, and I know it sucks. Lining up sucks. I voted and I hated the lines. It's suffocating. Nagdaan lang ako pay-pay. But having said that, it is a right and a privilege to vote. I say it's a right because it is a right, and it's a privilege again because remember, just over 100 years ago, women were not allowed to vote.
In some places now, women still aren't allowed to vote, right?
Yeah, see, and we're just gonna take that away just because of certain inconveniences. I mean, the problem is there. If you don't like the system, change it. Like, to quote Mahatma Gandhi, be the change that you want to see. So be proactive, guys. I mean, I think that's one resolution that we will make every year. Now, I'm going to be proactive. I'm still going to be proactive because that means you are trying to seize control over your life. And the thing with monsters is the monsters become very powerful because they overpower you. You do not have the control. You will be bitten by a vampire. You will be haunted by a ghost. You will be ravaged by a werewolf because, again, it's overpowering. So, for you to deal with monsters is you empower yourself and listen to good music. That's why listen to Jane.
Okay.
Jane is cool. This station is cool.
Thanks, John. Really and truly, you just made us even cooler. You know that? By coming on board and sharing your thoughts with us. I told you I got cool friends and they really have something very valuable to say.
I'm
So
only cool as my friends.
yeah. So thank you so much, Sean, for joining us today to share
Right?
what you just did. And hopefully it's not going to be the last.
Hopefully not. And thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Yes. Please invite
And
everybody to join that Fulbright
oh yeah, guys, please go online at the Facebook pages for Fulbright. There are several opportunities there, and I'd like to speak to this to our Cebuano friends, because as a fellow Cebuano myself, well, I grew up in Cebu. I find it really fun and interesting and empowering that I could speak Bisaya with fellow Fulbrighters. So the activity right now is to reach out to schools beyond Manila. So we're asking people from the other cities that are not Manila, maybe please try. You will never know until you try. So just don't think, I will not get it. I won't try. That's another monster there. You're second guessing yourself.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you fail, that's good because at least when you fail, you said I tried. And then maybe you'll try again. Guys, I mean, the world is there. Are you the victim of the monsters or are you going to overpower the monsters?
Ooh, that's a challenge for 2021.
Yes, ma'am. So I'm enjoying my sweet tea from Texas.
Okay, so thank you so much as Chong gulps down the last few of what's left of the sweet tea.
Sweet tea,
Right?
like a
We're
very
gonna
Texas
play.
thing.
Yeah, we're gonna play our final song for today. This is the Chemical Brothers with
Hey boy, hey
"Hey
girl.
Boy, Hey Girl." Okay, thanks everybody for listening and watching us. This is June from Magic 92.3. Bye now.
Ciao.
Bye, Chong. Thanks.
Bye.